live. So welcome everybody. My name is Tallboy. We're here to simplify tech in a language that you can understand. We have some important discussions that we want to talk, but we also have some tech news that we want to discuss. So without further ado, let me go ahead and tell you through our AI generator what we will be discussing this evening.
Welcome to the Lab Tech Show. Join us live from a global podcast studio to explore the latest in tech and insightful discussions.
Resident truck driver Revis humorously explains Merriam-Webster's word of the day, ensconce, adding a lighthearted moment to our tech-heavy discussions. Today, Oprah wants to talk AI with industry experts. Dive into the world of artificial intelligence and its impact on our daily lives. Edward Lynn emphasizes the importance of end-of-life matters. Making informed decisions early can ease the journey significantly.
Wrapping up, Tallboy highlights the importance of embracing technology to avoid being left behind. Stay tuned for more insightful discussions on the Lab Tech Show.
So now you know what we'll be discussing this evening. We're going to talk about this AI that Oprah says it's time for us, America, to have this conversation. And then we're going to be talking about some end-of-life matters, okay? So before we get started, I would love for you to tell me where you're joining us from. Type in the city and state where you're joining us from in the chat. Type in your city and state where you're joining us from in the chat, all right? So all you got to do is just put your city and state, and it will let me know where you guys are tapping in from, and I will hopefully see you get highlighted, and we'll go from there. Got a few more minutes, and while we do all of find out where you guys are at, we're going to go ahead and get our rules to the show. So where is TBJ at while we're trying to figure all of that out? So TBJ, where are you at, my man? Where you at, TBJ?
What's up, everybody? I'm here, y'all. I'm here. We here, and we would love for you to participate. Now, look, this is how you do it. Now, we keep this a clean show. Now, Tallboy, he messing up a little bit, but I ain't mad at him, but we here. This is how you can participate. You can watch on your phone or your TV. Now, you know, you can only comment on your phone. I mean, that's Tech 101, right? But we do want you to be authentic, and we want you to keep it real, all right? So embrace this technology because it is happening whether you like it or not. Now, look, we are multi-streaming on multiple platforms, so please, if you're watching on somewhere else, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or another YouTube channel, will you please come over to the Lab Tech Show? Will you please join us? I'm telling you, this is where the conversation, it starts and it ends here. So I look forward to you participating. And once again, my name is TBJ, and I'm the smooth one, all right? Tallboy, he the rough and rugged one. And they say Revis is the sexy man. We're going to get back to Tallboy. Back to you, Tallboy.
TBJ over there playing, man. I don't even know why y'all even allowing TBJ to just do me like that. I'm the rough and rugged one. Somebody's tapping in from Chicago. Shout out to Miss Cat. I see you. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a guest that's here, and while you guys are coming in, I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. This brother hails from California. When I say this brother is smooth, every time I see him, he's in a three-piece suit. And what I mean by that is he's always talking about conversations when it comes to end-of-life matters. But he's smooth with it. He doesn't hurt your feelings. He doesn't come at you abruptly or rough. It's just having a regular conversation to make you think. And he always says, today is the best day of my life. So when you get a remark like that, it kind of just throws you off because it's like, today's your best day of your life. Did you win the lottery? But he's just smooth with it. So without further ado, y'all go ahead and put your hands together for my man from Cali, Mr. Edward Lynn.
What's up, tall boy? Hello, everyone.
You doing all right, sir?
Yeah. Yes, doing excellent. Doing excellent. Hope everybody's having a good day. One of the things that I like to share as we go through is that each one of us know that this is an important conversation. It's a necessary conversation, or food for thought, or an end-of-life matters conversation. So one of the things that we'll be discussing tonight is all things to deal with preparation, just preparing yourself. The concept of does it make sense to plan in advance for an event that we all know we're going to participate in, whether we want to or not. So I just want to share that with you guys. Look forward to this conversation. And as we move forward, we're using technology right now. So this is a great thing. I could be here in California, some of you in Chicago, some of you in Florida, different parts of the country, even some of the world. It's grateful that we have the opportunity to share with each other through technology. So this is one of the benefits of technology.
Well, you, Mr. Edward, introduced me to this word of the day. And when you introduced me to this word of the day, I didn't really know what it was, but I said, I wanted to expand my vocabulary when we started this about 2 years ago. And I incorporated it into my show. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring the guy that's taking it to another level, Mr. Reed. Last week, he told me he liked this song. So I don't know if I should even do it, but I'm going to let him have it. I'm going to let him feel good about himself. Ladies, y'all just go ahead and pump the man's head up, okay?
Hey, Mr. Sexy Man, what your name is? What your name is? Hey, Mr. Sexy Man, what your name is? What your name
He's somewhere in the United States, from L.A. to New York. Where are you, Revis? Don't forget to honk the horn.
Revis. They said Mr. Sexy Man.
Yeah, they need to play that again. That's my theme song now.
That's your theme song, Mr. Sexy Man.
Mr. Sexy Man.
Oh, Lord, I can't with you, man. Well, look, I gotta find out where you are in the world. Where you at in the United States?
I am in Texarkana, Texas.
Oh, Tex who?
Texarkana.
Texarkana. So it's like Texas and Arkansas together?
Yeah, it's right on the line.
Oh, Texarkana. Okay. What's so special about that city?
It's right on the line.
Okay. All right. Well, we got this word that I never even heard of, and I'm pretty sure nobody else has heard of it either. It's called ensconce. Did I say it right? Ensconce?
Ensconce.
Ensconce? Oh, I did it. Okay. Well, we're going to give you a definition and a sentence, and we want you to break it down. Can you do that for us?
I'm going to do my best.
All right. Well, ensconce. Someone or something ensconced is firmly placed or hidden. Ensconce can be a synonym of shelter and conceal, or of establish and settle. The way the sentence reads is, the sculpture is safely ensconced behind glass. Or, he ensconced himself in the library's back room for the afternoon. Break it down, Professor Reeves.
This is a really unique word. It's something I've never heard of before. And it's pretty suiting for me, because the Lab Tech Show is ensconced. Every Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we have this show. Which means it is established, and we're settled to do it. This is settled. It's going to be here every Wednesday as long as we're here to do the show. And when it comes to me, I know I have to do this show. So therefore, I am ensconced in this truck 90% of the time. Which means when it's time to do the show, I block everything else out, and I put myself in this truck and ready to do the show. So I am ensconced in this truck.
Okay, so you safely put yourself in the truck so you can give the audience the word of the day.
Exactly.
I like that.
That's kind of unique, isn't it?
Yeah, that's different. Okay. Now, how would somebody else use the word ensconce?
it's a shelter. There's a lot of people are at home right now because they feel safe. They are ensconced at home because they can watch the show and they feel safe and they don't have to be bothered or nothing. So they're ensconced in their household.
Okay, I like that. All right, well, we're going to ask the audience, how do they think you did on the word of the day? Audience, how did Revis do on the word of the day? If you're watching on your phone or you want to participate, one, boy, watch out there now. Two, get to the point, sir. I'm still lost. Three, this was a new word. I respect your breakdown. Four, sir, you had one job. Or five, he may need his own theme song moving forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let us know in the comments, how did Revis do on the word of the day? Mr. Edward, I got a question. How did Professor Revis do on the word of the day? Did he break it down real well?
Oh, yes, he did. He settled it. He settled in it. The word of the day is he settled, placed himself in a nice spot. So that's the word. Scott,
said,
he's in that
okay.
truck 90% of the time.
He said he broke it down. Okay. All right. Well, the audience said 3. This was a new word. I respect your breakdown. And then you had a couple 3s and a couple 4s and hit the spot. 1006 said, she said, what are you talking about, Revis? Yeah, she giving you a hard time.
Listen here, hit the spot. One of these days, we will all be ensconced in a casket. And that's what we're going to settle for at the end of life.
Oh, watch out there now. We're going to be ensconced in a casket. Well, I'll be in the digital world, but y'all be in the casket. All right, well, we're going to talk to you a little bit later. Is there anything else you want to leave us before we get up out of here?
Yes, everybody, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and make sure you bring friends over. And Tall Boy has merch.
Yeah, that's right. That code word trucker is no longer any good. It expired. So you got to go to the website. Will you support Tall Boy with the merch? Come on now. I mean, he got products as low as $5 and no more than 40. You don't think he worth that kind of stuff? I mean, he ain't asking you to give him no money. He just saying just look at the merch and see if it's something that you like and represent the show. Don't that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. You know, we got to start using the new code word, Mr. Sexy Man.
Oh, no, this man is messed up. No. All right, well, we're going to let you go, man. You have a good one, because that Mr. Sexy Man might have went to your head. Back to you, Tall Boy.
Bye, you know.
Back to you.
This man then said, use code word sexy, man. Ain't nobody about to type that in for no discount. I'm sorry, I'm not with it. Let's see, what do we have here? Mr. Edward, we're going to go ahead and get started with the show, if you don't mind. I just want to let people know that next Thursday, not tomorrow, but next Thursday, so I'll make sure I bring it up again. AI is forever growing, right? And there's a lot of AI that's being used in this show. I wrote out a script, and the way the show was being promoted today, I described you, myself, and Revis, and it actually gave us some images of us, even though they had no idea what we looked like. It created some images, and I don't know if you saw or you were looking at the description of the 3-piece suit with the baseball hat, but that's how I always see you. But you were actually in the show wearing a 3-piece suit in the video. So, but AI is forever growing, if that makes any sense. And next week or next Thursday, somebody, y'all's favorite auntie, said they want to do a special on ABC. What do I mean by that? Oprah says that she's set to interview OpenAI CEO Sam Altman for an ABC special on the AI's impact. This is supposed to be a crazy show, so please, I want you guys to please understand that this is really, really big, and I think that you guys should pay attention to what's going on in the world. And what do I mean by that? They said Oprah will sit down with OpenAI CEO Sam Altman for an exclusive interview as part of a new ABC primetime special, AI and the Future of Us, premiering September 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern. The hour-long special will stream the next day on Hulu and is meant to explore the impact of artificial intelligence that it's having on people's daily lives. All right, so they just want to say, look, this technology, they want to empower viewers to understand and navigate this growing, forever evolving AI future. And they said that the interview will see Altman explain how it works, and as they say, layman's terms, or like I said, we like to break it down in a language that you can understand. Now they're also saying that Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, he said he will also participate, and he will talk about, he will lay out the AI revolution in science, health, and education, and once in a century type of impact and could have on the job market. And then they're also saying that Oprah will also speak with YouTuber creator and technologist Marques Brownlee, who will also demonstrate AI's capabilities. And also, they have the CEO, one of the two co-founders from Humane. I don't know if you guys remember when I told you about this pen called the Humane pen that you can talk to it. We were talking about it late last year about this could be the new technology. Well, they're going to have the co-founders there, and they will discuss emerging risks posed by powerful and super intelligent AI. And then they're also going to have an FBI representative who will reveal the ways criminals and foreign adversaries are using AI to, how they're using it. So they're going to have a packed show discussing AI, telling you how it works, breaking it down in a language that you can understand, and just letting you know what's all going on. So they're saying the AI and Future of Us and Oprah Winfrey special, 8 o'clock Eastern. So next Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern. So I'll make sure I mention this. But before I ask Mr. Edward, what does he think about AI and its forever evolving future, I got to ask the audience, what do you think of Oprah teaching AI to us in prime time? What are your thoughts on that? Let us know on your phone. 1, only my girl could get me to pay attention to this. 2, I don't care if it was my favorite star. I don't get it. 3, this must be big if Oprah is doing a special on it. 4, I need some classes on this AI thing. Or 5, I have no desire to watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of Oprah teaching AI to us in prime time? Mr. Edward, what do you think about that?
Well, there's a couple things. One area is artificial intelligence could be used in a positive sense, but like you said, in a negative sense too. When it comes to global security, you also have situations to where you have hackers and scammers who can use it, because they say to us right now that AI itself, you got to really check it out, because some of the information that's coming out is not altogether accurate. AI, again, is programmed by humans for humans. So that's one side of it. The other side that I see is this. Every coin has two sides to it, a heads and a tail. I would say that for me, AI is almighty intelligence. So I want to rely on almighty intelligence, not artificial intelligence, because artificial, it didn't originate from us. It didn't originate from the individual. So for me, I'm looking at something that I have to question, even though I know it's coming from a different source, whether it's OpenAI, ChatGPT. But at the same time, we're in the world of technology, okay? But technology is still a tool. It doesn't replace the human, because humans are the one programming it to give us information. So personal security is important. Other countries are starting to use it too. All the things that they said that the FBI, Christopher Wray is going to be involved in this OpenAI thing, and all these different things that's happening with what I consider a very unique situation in our lives, where now you got Alexa in your home, you got Siri, you got all these different things where people don't realize that their voices are now being carried everywhere, and people are saying things, people get mimicked, what you call copycat. to people copycatting each other. So, like you said, there is good things in technology, but then you also got to make sure that the risk is not to the point where we're creating something that's so damaging to the human race. That's how I see it, and I'm very, very cautious when it comes to any tool that's going to take away the human ingenuity and us just being creative on our own.
Okay. So you're basically come from the school of old school. You need to build it yourself and not let text based or a prompt basically do it for you.
Correct. Well, you back in the day, we had to go to the encyclopedia. We had to go to the library. We still have libraries, and people, all the information is still there. It was just not placed in one group, one area where you could just tap in, put a question in. You can prompt AI, you can prompt ChatGPT, you can prompt Gemini, all these different things, and it gives you information at the speed of light. But at the same time, none of that information is actually vetted. We don't know who vetted it. Like some people say, well, that's misinformation. Well, the first of all is what information, misinformation, if I don't have the original information. So someone's telling me it's misinformation, but I don't know if that's the truth. So just because I call it conspicuous consumption. That means you get a celebrity to endorse it. It's conspicuous consumption. The consumer is going to go through and promote it because it's conspicuous consumption. I'm very careful when people endorse something that they themselves don't know about. So for me, AI, artificial intelligence, is exactly the two letters. It's artificial, and it's the intelligence of other people is not my own.
All right, I'm not mad at it. So please, next Thursday, September 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern, Oprah will be talking AI with some industry leaders or stars or people that are well known in the space. All right, Mr. Edward, we're going to go ahead and start talking about end of life matters, because we had a conversation back in July. And a lot of people were very impressed with what you had to offer. And they said, Tallboy, this was a conversation that needed to be had. Thank you so much for doing this. And what people did not know was the Monday that we booked the show, when you confirmed that you would come on, was the day that I found out that my best friend had passed away. And I had to leave, and I went up to Michigan for a week, and I had to, take care of the family matters. And it was a very troubling time, and there were some things that a lot of us had never experienced before, and I'm pretty sure others have dealt with end-of-life situations. And it was like, hey, we need to have this conversation more often, Tallboy. Are you willing, or can you do this again for us? And you said you were open to doing it, so here we are. So we're going to have a part two. If you guys have questions in the comments, please ask the questions. But we wanted to have a part two. We wanted to go deeper. We wanted to dive harder. And some of this may be redundant if you watch the first episode. But at the same token, this is your chance to ask the questions. No question is too small, or there's no dumb question. Because like I said, whether it's you picking your funeral home, whether you picking the final wishes, well, no matter what it is, please understand that you have to have these things in place, because the last thing you want is a situation. The last thing you want is a situation where you're making those situations in a grieving time. Before we get started, I'm gonna let the audience go ahead and do this. Do you know what a loved one would want if they left you today? One, these discussions have already been had. I'm good. Two, I never thought about it. Three, tough conversations must be had real soon. Or four, I don't know where to start. 1, 2, 3, or 4, let me know in the comments. Do you know what a loved one would want if they left you today? Let me know in the comments. All right, Mr. Edward, where do you want to start?
Well, we could start with the introduction of advanced planning in the death care market. Advanced planning is a key. So if you want to go ahead and share the first slide of the PowerPoint, I think that this is a legacy of love and responsibility. It's an introduction to not just funeral planning, but cemetery planning, cremation planning also. It's just an introduction. It's the concept of advanced planning. Does it make sense to plan in advance? If we get that down, it's going to help us a lot. So one of the things that we do with the next slide, we like to gather information when we're sitting with families so that we know their background, how many years they lived in a local area, how many children they have, because we found out in our experience that when death occurs, the final arrangements normally fall on the surviving children. Now, we do believe that every child should inherit something from their parents. But one thing a child should never inherit from their parents is the responsibility of laying their parents to rest. Why? When we lose our parent, there's two E's that's going to happen. The first E is going to be emotional E, because we're separated from our father, our mother, our loved one. And we don't want it to fall on our children, because we want to keep our children out of harm's way. And the second E is economics. We do not know what our children's financial situation is going to be at the time of death occurs. So the most important thing we want to do is to make sure we take care of these arrangements in advance, so that when death occurs, it does not fall on our children. We believe that children should inherit something, but one thing a child should never inherit is the responsibility of laying their parents to rest. Those who are veterans, I want you to know that it's extremely important that there are benefits you will receive from the United States government if you were honorably discharged from the United States military. First of all, I want to thank you for your service and giving us the opportunity to celebrate you, because we get to actually live in a country that's free. Being married, most couples made a vow till death do us part or earth light separate us. I always ask husband and wives, how many decisions do you make while you're married? They said they make a lot of them. Do you think this decision should be made before you both pass away? Should you not know what your spouse would want and how they want to be laid to rest? This decision should be made while both of you are alive, so that vow that you commit to each other would get consummated. Now, I know that a lot of other vows has gotten consummated, but this vow, having the talk of a lifetime, having the necessary conversations, having food for thought, all these things are extremely important. So that right there is so important that husbands and wives, or if you're single, that you talk to your next of kin about this. I don't know your local funeral home, your local cemetery, or your local crematory, but you want to be familiar with the practices of your local facility. What type of service they have? Are they well known? How long have you been around? What type of service they provide? And if you've had any experience yourself of making arrangements for someone, did you do that at the time of death occurred? Or was it done in advance? Those are the two ways. You're going to do it when death occurs, or you're going to do it in advance. This is vitally important. So now we're going to go ahead and show you a video of a couple explaining to you all the benefits of advanced planning, and then we'll come back.
You plan ahead for vacation, retirement, holidays, even dinner.
Taking the time to think about what's ahead makes life simpler and allows you to do things your way. So why shouldn't the celebration of your life be the same?
Planning ahead for the day you're gone gives you time to personalize your funeral arrangements to reflect the events in your life that meant the most to you.
Plus, it relieves your loved ones of making tough decisions under difficult circumstances.
In the next few minutes, we'll explain what pre-planning choices are available and answer some of the most commonly asked questions about pre-arrangement.
So let's begin with this. Why should I plan my funeral now? Rarely can you predict when your life will end. Your surviving loved ones will be left to cope with the grief of losing your companionship. But they'll also have a lot of tough decisions to make in a very short period of time. And they'll most likely agonize over what you would have wanted. Pre-planning allows you the opportunity to make those decisions ahead of time, limiting the stress on your loved ones. They'll be able to cherish the past and not dwell in the present. It gives them greater opportunity to celebrate the life you've lived. Pre-planning also has financial benefits. Many pre-planning programs or policies allow you to set aside funds for future use. As with all service and product costs, funeral prices inflate over time. The sooner you plan, the less it will cost down the road. It also gives you peace of mind in knowing that your loved ones won't endure the burden of paying the expenses of your funeral.
Another commonly asked question is, what exactly does a funeral include? A funeral is more than just a service. Some of the related events that can accompany a service are a visitation or wake, a procession after the formal service, and a ritual for the disposition of remains. By pre-planning, you can make choices about the funeral arrangements to shape a parting message that reflects who you are. and those close to you will appreciate the opportunity to pay tribute to you and celebrate your life. A funeral can also involve a gathering after the ceremony, and sometimes a memorial service later in another location. There are a lot of decisions to make. Imagine how much easier the choices will be for you to make now, rather than your grieving loved ones having to make them after you're gone.
Once you've decided pre-planning makes sense, the next question is, where do I begin? Pre-planning takes some serious thought and preparation. National Guardian Life Insurance Company, an industry leader in pre-planning, offers an easy-to-use pre-planning booklet that walks you through each step of the process. There are no hidden obligations. Just fill in the blanks and take it to the funeral director of your choice.
If you've chosen to pre-plan, it's clear you value your loved one's feelings. So what would they think of your choice? While each situation is different, we suggest an honest and open discussion with your loved ones. Most adults will understand your effort as a means to relieve their future financial and emotional burdens.
Once you've made the decision to pre-plan and have chosen a funeral director, it's time to have your pre-planning conference.
The first thing you'll want to cover is services. Where? A house of worship, a funeral home, a family home, or other.
When? Taking into consideration religious doctrine and travel time for family and friends. You will also have to set hours for a visitation or wake.
Who? Who will be asked to conduct or take part in your service? You may also want to think about personal touches, such as your favorite music to be played or readings to be read.
You may even want to leave a lasting memory of a hobby you love. These choices are your opportunity to be remembered the way you want to be remembered.
The second topic is disposition of remains. This is often difficult for many people to discuss, but is very important. Among the things to consider are cremation, burial, entombment in a mausoleum, and public or private viewing. Your funeral director will guide you through the many choices.
The third topic is merchandise. This includes caskets, vaults, liners, and cremation urns. Your funeral director can even provide burial clothes if you choose.
The fourth topic that should be discussed is the issue of notices. You'll need to discuss information to be included in your obituary notice. Also, consider if you wish flowers to be sent to your funeral or if you'd like a memorial to be established.
The fifth and final topic is pre-funding.
Things you should consider when reviewing how to pre-fund are your personal current and future financial situation and the various pre-financing options available to you.
An option that many people choose is purchasing an insurance policy. National Guardian Life Insurance Company has many pre-funding options to help you find the best way to prepay for your arrangements without necessarily incurring large upfront costs.
If you do decide to pre-plan your funeral arrangements, remember these questions. Ask about your options to change the plan in the future in case you move to a new location, or if you change your mind about certain details.
And make sure you understand all the costs involved. Pre-planning makes a lot of sense to be remembered the way you want to be remembered.
And a chance for your loved ones to truly celebrate your life.
So one of the things that when you listen to these videos and you hear them talk about advanced planning and making sure you have all things in order, it gives you a nice structure. So one of the things that we try to do is to make sure most people sit down and have the talk of a lifetime, that conversation around what a family would like and how they would do it. So one of the things that we do is we walk a family through the process. So the next slide that you're going to see is if there was a death in your family yesterday, what would you be doing today? That's the slide that we're going to be showing you. And what this slide represents, it gives us insight on how you and your family would want to have your celebration of life or your ceremony. So if there was a death yesterday, what would you be doing today with your family, your siblings, your friends? These things are extremely important that we go through and have that conversation. So here on this particular slide, we find out the type of ceremony you want and your final resting place, what cemetery you're going to be laid to rest in, and or if you're going to be cremated, is your cremation going to be scattered at sea? Are they going to be buried in the cemetery? Are they going to be scattered or they're going to be made into a diamond? All those different things. Who's going to make these decisions? This is important. Like I told you earlier, we don't want it to fall on the children, and we definitely don't want it to fall on the surviving spouse. One thing that we've learned is when death occurs, the surviving spouse is the one having to make these arrangements on the very day that death occurs. It's very difficult. That's why it's easier to have these arrangements done in advance so that our spouses and our children or an individual is not making these arrangements on the very day that death occurs. Now, what happens is within the first 24 to 36 hours after death has occurred, there is approximately 49 major decisions that must be done. All of these can be done in advance. That's the beauty of it. We reduce it to 3 simple steps. We want to eliminate the emotional and financial burden associated with one's passing. So what we do is we gather a lot of vital statistics and information. We already know the funeral arrangement style and the final resting place. That's what this is for. So now I'm going to pause it here, tall boy. I want to show you one of the gifts that we actually give to families, which is called our memorial planning guide. So if you can pull up that guide, I know it's just the cover. It's called the Memorial Planning Guide. Now, this right here is the actual registry book. This is not the actual guide. This is the book. But this book is what a family would receive after. This is a flip book. It's a digital book. This is part of our digital thing where you can have the obituary, the eulogy, all the people that attended. All this is captured digitally. So when you walk into a funeral home, instead of you signing a traditional registry book or at the cemetery, you actually sign it on a QR code or on an iPad. And then you get the opportunity to actually leave a tribute so you can see some of the tributes here. So this is a much better keepsake. So then all those who attend can really show their expressions to the family. That's the beauty of this. I love this quote too. Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. This is so important that we take these moments like now, have a conversation, the talk of a lifetime, so that when death occurs, we're not leaving this particular situation to our family and or friends. That's so important. So what I try to do.
Well, before you get into that, we got a couple of questions here or responses, and I want to make sure these people are acknowledged. JV says, my dad not having a will made life tough because we had to work with the probate and the NYPD. A will is the best thing that you can do for your family, whether it's bloodline or found. I'm not sure what that means. And then you also have Hit the Spot 1006 says, I've talked to everyone on this topic, cremation, and take what I'm going to leave. It's not going to be much because I'm enjoying my life while I'm here. And then we have, I guess, good information. And then it says, well, this is a must-needed conversation that black families need to have, and they don't. What if I wanted to change my urn because it's outdated? How does that work?
You can change it with your local funeral home or cemetery. You can change it.
And wills are a great tool if, but this will be challenged. Then how does that help all parties involved? So that's kind of where we are with that as far as questions. But I just wanted you to see that people are engaging with you based off
That's
of
great.
what you're saying. And feel free to ask the questions because this is why we're here. He's here. He can answer whatever questions you have. So just like the urn being changed at any given time, you just have to notify the proper, officials.
Go to the local funeral home that you made that arrangement with or the crematory shop, and they will be able to assist you in changing out your urn. One of the things that the person said about the will or the trust, this is one of the areas that I think is extremely important. 2 out of every 3 Americans die without a will or die without a trust, leaving their family, which we call the story after death. It's called after reach. This is after reach, okay? Not after care, after reach. There's 17 legal things that must be done after a death occurs. That's why it's important for you as a family to really sit down and discuss what you want done so there's no confusion. That's what is called last will and testament. The word testament means you're going to sit down and write what you want in that testament for your children and your spouse or your family members or your niece and nephew if you're never married. So that's why it's so important. Leave your family with a will or a living trust, not a bill. This is extremely important. And I say this because there's one thing that we all know that's going to happen to all of us. One day we're going to pass away. You do not want to leave your family in the middle of a crisis and them not knowing where everything is. It's okay to plan in advance. It's okay to prepare yourself. I know it's tough because most people don't want to sit around thinking about their own demise, but I want you to understand the moment you deal with your end of life matters, then you can begin to live. Because to me, when you have that in order, now you don't have to be concerned. You're not leaving somebody with something that's not going to happen. So
Okay.
that gentleman who said that their dad left them with that, that's a very hard, especially if there's brothers and sisters and relatives there, it's a very difficult thing to deal with.
Another question that I have, you spoke about life insurance, but what about death insurance? I take that's pre-need?
Yes, it's advanced planning. So most people, we've been told to go get a life insurance policy. Okay. Most people do not realize your life insurance policy you either get through your employer or you get it through an agent, some insurance agent. The difference is with advanced funeral planning or cemetery property or cremation, you're doing that directly with a local funeral home, a local cemetery, or a local crematory. Those funds are tied to the local funeral home. So wherever, what state you're in, whatever country you're in, there are advanced planning opportunities that does not affect your traditional life insurance. Now, there's a thing that you need to be aware of. Traditional life insurance, and it's great that you have it. You do need it because what life insurance does, it creates an immediate estate. It lets you have additional revenue. And really what it's doing is replacing the income of the person that passed away. So when I pass away, my wife will have replacement income because my income is no longer coming in. So that's the purpose of life insurance. It's not designed to bury me. What's designed to bury me is me doing an advanced funeral plan, having my cemetery property. If you want mausoleum, you want to be cremated, all that should be done separately with the local funeral home, leaving your traditional life insurance intact for the living. That's why it's called life insurance. It's going to insure the lives of those left behind. And that right there is extremely important.
Another question that I have for you, what about, because you said that's not life insurance, this is death insurance, or I guess the terminology is called pre-need. What about
It's called advanced planning. Yeah.
Advanced planning. I was saying, what if somebody has a pre-existing condition and they can't get life insurance? How do they
that's
go about that?
a great question. That's the reason why I share with people, if you go to your local funeral home, we're not selling life insurance or replacement income. When a family walks in with a pre-existing illness, we're actually protecting them for their final arrangements. So we will have people with pre-existing illness that we can protect, whether they have diabetes or they have cancer or they're fighting a battle a lot. Like our goal in the death care profession is to help that family reduce the financial burden in advance. So for us, we want you to be healthy when you make these arrangements. We want you to start at 40 and above. That's what we target, 40 and above. So within 10 years, it's all paid off. But if you do end up 50, 60, 70 years old and you have some illnesses or long-term things that you're dealing with, we can still protect you because what we're doing is we're giving you assurance. And what that assurance means is that you will purchase your ceremony, your services, your casket, your hearse. All those things are taken care of. If you want to be cremated, your urn, your type of ceremony, your memorial service, whatever you want, all that's done separately outside of traditional life insurance because you're actually purchasing your own arrangements in advance, tied to the cemetery, tied to the funeral home, tied to the crematory. That's why we can help protect people with pre-existing illnesses, because even though we know there's finances involved, we don't go through and penalize your family when a death occurs. So if you have a pre-existing illness, the way it works, by law, if you go through our plan, 1 month to 12 months, if you pass away with a pre-existing illness, we will return all the monthly investments you paid, plus we'll tie 3% to that, so that the family will be able to at least lay their loved one to rest in that case. If you have a plan, the second year, the 13th month to the 24th month, if you pass 70%. So say that you have a $8,000, $9,000 service, we're going to pay 70% of that if you have a pre-existing illness the second year. 24 months in one day, if you happen to pass away, it's fully covered. Okay. We give you the opportunity and the right to plan your ceremony and everything in advance, but we're not going to go to your spouse or your children in the event that you pass away while you're planning your advanced planning. So just remember that we do have plans for every person, no matter what your health issue is.
So let me get this right. If someone decides to go through you, you're nationwide or you're global. Am I
Yep.
correct?
Global.
If they
Yeah.
go with you and they have a pre-existing condition, and something happens to them within the first year, you give them their money back with 3% back. If they die within 24 months, within 2 years, you give them 70% of that money back. And then if they die anytime 24 months, which is 2 years and a day, then you will still go ahead and honor the funeral.
Yeah. So it's not give the money back. What it is that we want to make sure that the funeral home or the cemetery that's providing those services are compensated to provide the services. So when you're paying for your ceremony and your services, what you're doing is you're investing in your future ceremony. So in the event that you pass, we want to make sure that the funeral home or the cemetery or the crematory that's going to provide your services, we want to make sure that they're compensated for your services. So that's the difference between life insurance and advanced funeral planning or advanced cemetery planning. So the difference is this. I want you to hear the difference. If you have a traditional life insurance, the beneficiary of your life insurance will get cash to perform your services. When you do an advanced funeral plan, or you buy your cemetery property, or you purchase your cremation and you happen to pass away, the beneficiary is me, the one who passes. I'm the beneficiary because those arrangements are for me. The compensation of those funds will go to the entity, the cemetery, the funeral home, or the crematory that's going to perform those services. I am the beneficiary when I do an advanced plan. If I do traditional life insurance, you will choose a proxy or you choose a beneficiary to execute with those funds on your behalf, which we call an executor.
Got another question for you. The people that are watching the show, or they choose to go with you, are they going to a funeral home? Are they picking their funeral home? Or are they going through you and you tell them what funeral home is in your network or out of network? How does all of that
We
work?
got many options there, tall boy. That's a great question. Obviously, we don't have every funeral home in America or every cemetery in America, but we do have relationships with funeral homes and cemeteries. So we have a network of funeral homes and cemeteries across the U.S., but we also have relationship with a funeral home. If a family says, Edward, I want to use XYZ funeral home in Chicago. I want to use XYZ funeral home in Texas. I want to use XYZ funeral home. And we don't have a relationship. We will reach out to them on your behalf and still be able to make arrangements for you through that particular location, whether it's a cemetery, a funeral home, or a crematory, because I am a nationwide plot broker, so I get to help people with cemetery property nationwide. I also get to help people because I call funeral homes and cemeteries all over America to help make sure that people are taken care of in advance. So those are the kind of things that we have.
You got a question from Awesome Fun Things. Funerals, viewings, caskets, cemetery, plot, headstone, the whole thing. What is the average price?
Well, if you look at the average price, most people misunderstand that there's two sides to this, sometimes three. So there's a funeral home side, there's a cemetery side, and if you're going to be cremated, there's a cremation side. So there are three different things. But if you want to look at the total cost today, it's between $13,000 to $15,000, but that covers both the funeral and the cemetery property if you do traditional. Okay, but this is the big thing. Most people don't understand. You can lock that cost in now. You can make small monthly investments over time. And again, if you pass away while you're paying on it, we'll pay the balance. So there's a difference. Now, what happens to most people, they don't plan at all. So that cost keeps going up. So when I started 36 years ago, the average space in the cemetery was $395. That same space today is $4,000. Okay, caskets back then would say $995. Well, caskets today are $3,500, $4,000, $5,000. It just depends on, do you understand the concept of planning in advance? Your memorial marker, do you want to do those things in advance? Your marker, you want to know what you're going to put in it: together forever, loving father, loving mother. This is a tribute. This is why we have the Vietnam Wall. We have the World War II Memorial. We have the 9/11 Memorial. Why? Because within us, there's an innate thing that we have that we want to be remembered. We all want to be remembered somehow. We are no less valuable to anybody else. So because you were here, we want to make sure that you are celebrated and that there is a memorial saying that you were here. If you ever get a chance, look up the dash. It's your birth date, the dash, and your death date. What I deal with is the dash. How do we celebrate you? And that's the beauty of it.
Before we move forward, because I know you have some different ways that people can get buried, but since it's an honest conversation, if you were to leave us this week, what would you want? 1, a traditional burial. 2, a cremation. 3, it's not my problem. I'm gone, right? 4, give me my respect, stop traffic, and make it grand. Or 5, do a funeral and then spread my ashes over someplace special. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me know in the comments. If you were to leave us this week, what would you want? Let us know in the comments. Back to you, Mr. Edward.
Okay. So one of the things that I'm going to have a traditional service, because I'm going to be buried above the ground in a mausoleum, which I've been all around the world. Actually, we just got back from Portugal and we went into the catacombs in Porto, down underground. And a lot of times people don't realize there's a lot of cities, even here in the city of Inglewood, there's a lot of catacombs underneath the ground that most people don't realize. So this is another way to be laid to rest above the ground. Mausoleums, so those are kind of things. Lawn crypts, which is double depth. Then you have cremation benches. You have cremation niches, where you can go into a niche, a glass front niche or granite front niche. They have cremation rocks and cremation pedestals. You could also, and we'll show you this particular video. This video I'm going to introduce to you here is taking your cremated remains and making them into a diamond. Cremation into diamond. This is one of the things that we also offer, that you could, if you have current cremated remains at home, which they tell us over 5 million cremated remains are in people's homes right now. We want to get them out of your home, get them a final resting place, so that you guys contact us so we could get your loved ones a final resting place, what we call a POR, a point of reference. I hope you guys can see
from
the
them.
stuff.
And this is how to grow a blue diamond. You take about a half cup of ashes, purify that to carbon, compress the loved one's carbon into a disc. The loved one's carbon disc is what actually becomes a diamond. Pick the perfect diamond seed. Layer on top of the diamond seed a piece of boron alloy. The boron is what makes a diamond blue. And then the loved one's carbon disc. The entire loved one's carbon is combined into a white salt tube that will be encapsulated in graphite to create the entire growth cell that can withstand extreme amounts of pressure and energy to grow the diamond. Place the cell into the press. Now wait. Extract the rough from the cell. Shape the rough. And that's how you grow blue diamonds. Leave a comment if you want to see how black diamonds are made.
All righty. I had to get out of the sun there.
So that is a diamond. So basically a blue diamond, I presume, and he'll tell us that in a second. But if you have your remains of a loved one inside of the house, you can get rid of it, and not necessarily get rid of it, but you can have it to where it's a diamond, and I guess the loved one or all of your loved ones can have that diamond, and they have that keepsake of that loved one or that significant other, if that makes sense.
You got that correct. They could, as a keepsake. So they could take that diamond. They have jewelry. It could be a ring. It could be a necklace. You can give it to all your grandchildren and different things like that. So there's many ways that you can take cremated remains if someone wanted to be cremated. The next thing that we can go through and do is called eternal reefs, where someone, if they wanted to have their cremated remains in the ocean. We have a lot of people who love the ocean, scuba divers, Navy people. So this is another way that you can go through and share with them how to lay their cremated remains to rest in the ocean. This is one
My
of the
name is
things.
George Frankel. I am the CEO of Eternal Reefs, and I've been involved in Eternal Reefs since its very beginning. We've actually been in business providing this type of memorial service for 15 years. The families and individuals that choose an Eternal Reef, they're choosing it because they really are wanting to leave a permanent living legacy behind, something that will benefit future generations and make a really meaningful contribution to the environment right now. The whole concept of memorialization is changing. We are going to much more natural and meaningful memorialization, and the Eternal Reef fits the bill for any family that really has a connection to the ocean or just wants to leave something as a living legacy from their loved ones. One of the advantages that we have as Eternal Reefs and our families have as well is that it's rare that we're dealing with a family at the time of loss. In most cases, it's months or maybe even years since their loved one has passed away, and so most of the heavy grieving has already taken place. They also have the ability, if husband and wife have both passed away, put those loved ones together in the same reef. They can put pets in the same reef. And so they have the opportunity of literally being together for eternity. Reef ball is the design material that Eternal Reefs uses for memorialization. It's the only material that was designed from day one to replicate natural substrata that Mother Nature works with to create reefs. If you think in terms of a wiffle ball, they're round, they're hollow, and they're vented. That's largely the design of a reef ball. The reefs that we use for Eternal Reefs weigh anywhere from 750 pounds to 3,500 pounds. So they're very substantial memorials, and they're very stable in the marine environment. The best thing we can say is they stay where they're supposed to stay and they do what they're supposed to do. Reef balls are designed to very quickly become part of the natural substrata. So they will become permanent additions to the marine environment. The shell life will create a whole new ecosystem, and that structure will be there forever. The Eternal Reef provides a permanent living legacy to the family member who's being memorialized, and it really makes a significant contribution to future generations and to the health of the ocean.
So that is the Eternal Reef right there, and if you want to be in the water, I guess that's as opposed to spreading your ashes over the water, I guess it can go inside of the water if that's something that you're interested in.
Yep, that's another area. And we also have another thing, like I said, you can go into a cemetery where you could be laid to rest in a boulder, a rock, a niche, which as we move forward in these conversations, we'll bring some of those things to you too, so you can see an actual overview of a complete cremation garden. But right now, the next thing is some people today, we have a lot of space people, space exploration. We have Space Force now. So people now want to be laid to rest in space. And we do have Falcon rockets going up, sending people into space. So this is called the Earthrise.
Heavens and look back, marveling at our home that lies beneath. The Earthrise service from Celestis. If you or a loved one have ever wished to join the pioneers who've reached outer space and returned home, the Celestis Earthrise Memorial Service is the tribute you're seeking. The Celestis Earthrise Memorial Service launches a symbolic portion of cremated remains to outer space on board a powerful rocket and gently returns the precious cargo to Earth, creating a memorial keepsake unlike any other.
3, 2, 1, fire. Rifle away. Good burn. Copy, good burn.
Earthrise is an affordable and uniquely compelling tribute, the fulfillment of a life dream or a final wish.
He always wanted to go to space, so it was kind of a dream come true for me and for him.
This was just meant to be, and when that rock went up today, it was just unbelievable to me. I was speechless.
This is the fulfilling of a dream for my husband and my partner and my best friend who always wanted to go into space, and today he did.
I can't can't think of a better way to honor him and to celebrate his death. And this was his life. So this was a perfect way to celebrate it.
I can't think of a better tribute. I mean, Spaceport America is something that he's always dreamed about.
He said that he always wanted to go up and look down on Earth and say, I live there.
Earthrise launches are conducted from Spaceport America, the New Mexico crossroads of Robert Goddard's pioneering experiments and Sir Richard Branson's vision of our spaceborne future.
Ceremony and ritual is very important in funeral service. So the fact that it spanned over a couple of days and things happen every day. There were special events going on from the tour, which people are able to experience exactly what's going to happen. They're seeing everything leading up to the final launch. And I think that was pretty amazing.
Prior to the launch, a memorial service is held. Families take time to share their emotions with others who also have participants on the upcoming memorial spaceflight.
On this launch, as on every Celestis launch, we have participants from all over the world who are bound, I think, by a common thread. And that common thread is a love of space, a belief in space, a belief in pioneering, and a belief in opening the frontier.
Funds support education and good works.
Fortunately, we have you all as partners, and everybody who's a partner with us on the student launch program actually contributes to its success. It's all a synergy to help us provide this annual access to space and increase access to space for people globally.
The number of people that were here today and the things that were said, it was just, it's so heartwarming.
In my opinion, the perfect experience. We couldn't have had anything better. It's a gorgeous morning, a beautiful day, and, reach for those stars because they're there and go.
It was great. It was fun. We want to do it again.
Last question, was this an exciting day for you?
Success.
I'm really reminded here at this event of Celestis' link to creating a new golden age of flight. It's a breathtaking experience. What a wonderful opportunity it is to be building the future.
For more, visit us at celestis.com.
Yeah, celestis.com is where you can go and get that information. So if you want to be in space, if you want to be in the water with reefs, or if you would like to be turned into a diamond, I guess the $1 million question, Mr. Edward, is from the low end to the high end, how much are we talking about price for the afterlife decisions? So after the burial, the cremation has happened, how much are we talking about to do these three different services that you're presenting? Or you're talking
different ones, like I said, between 12 to 15,000, but you can pay it over time. Nothing's so absorbent, but some people want really nice and they could pay 20,000, 25,000, depending on the size of a diamond or what type of ceremony they want. Some people want all their families to go to the launch. Some people want their families to go to the actual reef ceremony, which we can have, where they have hotels and packages where families go and do the whole ceremony at the actual site to where they're going to put the reef ball in the ocean, whether it's in Galveston, Texas, or Sarasota, Florida. And then the same thing with the space flight. People who want to go, they can go over there to Houston or to Florida when these things are happening throughout the year. They'll spend their time in the memorial service and they'll spend additional money. But the bottom line is they're celebrating their loved one's life, and all these things can be planned in advance. The only other thing is that a lot of us travel. I know you travel, I travel. And what happens sometimes is people pass away while they're traveling. This is one of the things we also do is we make sure that if someone passed away 100 miles away from home, we bring them back to their home base to make sure that they get their ceremony, their honor, and everything else. So that last video, this is called travel, Inman Travel. It is just something that helps families. We also have Sepio Guard and different things like that. But you can go ahead and play that particular one. It's 59 seconds, pretty simple. And this right here, after that, we can go into questions or answers and people who want to ask some questions.
Do you travel? We all do, whether it's for work, visiting families and friends, or leisure travel. But what should happen if you should die while traveling away from home? The Travel Plan by Inman is travel protection that provides peace of mind to you and your family. The Travel Plan by Inman brings a loved one home should they die 100 miles or more away from their legal residence. A one-time fee provides a lifetime of protection. For more information on this valuable service, please speak with your funeral home or cemetery professional. Inman, we are everywhere you need us to be.
So that's a simple plan that people can have as a one-time lifetime charge. You know that a lot of people, a lot of airlines, a lot of travel companies sell them over and over. But we share with families that if you go to your local funeral home, local cemetery, you go through us, we'll give you that one-time charge. It's really simple. You can, if you want to pay it off a lump sum, you can. If you want to pay it off quarterly, you can. If you want to pay it off in 1 year, you can. It's really inexpensive, but it's for life. But what that means is if you travel and you pass away 100 miles away from your primary resident, they will ship you back. They do all of the background for you, whether you're in another country, whether you're here in another state, they'll make sure you get back to your home state and no additional charge to your family. But your services and stuff, your family will take care of, but at least your remains will be back in your home state.
I want people, if you're watching, if you're interested in all of this, to grab a piece of paper, a pen, and so when he gives out his information, whether it's email, website, or phone number, I'm going to give you time to grab something to write this down, because you're going to say, I'm going to come back to the video. Grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, because I know some people are not tech savvy. So I'm giving you some time. And while you're doing that, I'm going to, please, if you get a chance, if you thought this video was of any value, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also, share this video with a few people, because these are the questions that you guys need to ask, or you should know. Or like I said, I just came back from a funeral and there was no answers, and we had to figure it out. And I mean, there was a lot of emotions were high. People were not happy with some of the decisions. The funeral home that we chose, they were not as up to par as I would have wanted them to be. But at the end of the day, you have to be respectful to the person that makes the final decisions. And these are all things that you should know when it comes to making those decisions. And at the end of the day, you just want to be there for your loved one, and you want to make sure all these things are done. And I just remember, just picking the final outfit. I knew my best friend like the back of my hand, but then, other parties were saying, no, this is what we want. And unfortunately, it was, you have to kind of remove yourself from that situation, and it was painful. But what if I had already said, I already know I want to be in my Lab Tech Show hat, my Lab Tech Show t-shirt, and that's just what it's going to be. I'm going to be wearing what I want, as opposed to you saying, I'm just going to go in and I want them in a suit. Tall boy don't wear no suits, y'all. So, I mean, I have a suit, but I'm saying this now on this air. You can go back to the video. Don't put me in no suit. So all I'm saying is, if you have these conversations now before something happened, unfortunately, we had a major tragedy that just hit, my state today. And some people did not get a chance to go home today. And unfortunately, we don't know the outcome, but I'm pretty sure majority of those people that got, hurt probably did not have that plan in place. And so now those decisions are going to be difficult, on top of why it happened, how it happened. Now you have to make a decision of laying, somebody down for the final time. So, just think about that, have that conversation with that loved one, and just know that these are real conversations. Mr. Edward, I'm going to go ahead and is there anything else in this? No,
that's it. That right there wraps it up. Like I said, we do have a free memorial planning guide for an individual or a couple. If you're married, we have that offer for you. It's a free guide. We'll go through the guide with you. More importantly, we want you to be aware of, you can reach me at kcharles at Legend, Legend, CFS.com. Again, Charles at legendcfs.com. My Instagram is Edward Lynn 0827. You can find me there. You want to go to Facebook, Edward Lynn. I'm also on LinkedIn, Edward Lynn 0827. So if you want to contact me, you can do that through those means. I think that is extremely important. You have any questions at all, you want to do an online seminar with your particular group, if you have a group of people or family members, we do this online. I can explain everything to them. Just like you saw, we show our video, we go through our planning guide. We give you all information without obligation. I share with families all the time, you're not obligated to do anything, but it does not exempt you from dying, because we all do that. One thing I pride myself in is that 1 out of every 1 person passes away. And my goal is to protect each person before they pass away, so that your family is not impacted by your death when death occurs. Leave your family with a will, and your will really is your last testament of how you want to celebrate your life. You are the honoree, and your real estate is the body that you're walking around in. That is your real estate. So hopefully this was some good information for you. I hope you could take this easier. I know that sometimes people think that medicine's hard, but medicine's good for us. Less is more. And what that means is when you're playing in advance, you don't have that chaos at the end where everybody's fighting. And like Tallboy said, when you have an immediate death, the people in Atlanta that died, the people in Chicago that died, the people in Aurora, Colorado, you guys got to look at these things, because unfortunately, there are things that happen that most people today are unaware of. And death is real, it's imminent. And I want you to know this. That's not artificial. I know that we want to try everything we can to stay alive, but at the same time, we all need to be realistic. And at some point, we have to have these necessary conversations. We have to have food for thought. We have to talk about end of life matters, because end of life matters. And I thank you, Tallboy, for giving me the opportunity again to talk about a subject that I know that I don't think that people are afraid of the subject. I think they're unfamiliar with it. And if you're unfamiliar with something, you want to stay away from it because you're unfamiliar. It's just an unfamiliar territory, it's an unfamiliar subject. But my goal is to make this subject, Death Care Speaks, a worldwide conversation, that we can all have a conversation around Death Care Speaks. Why should we not, when we know that it's part of everybody's life, every family's affected by this thing? So to me, why don't we have a conversation so people can do this in advance and not doing it on the day they're impacted by the loss of a loved one?
I definitely want to say thank you for coming on, because this is a conversation that needed to be had. It was immediate to me. We did not foresee it coming in my life. And then we had the conversation right before I even went. So I think this was ideal. We have some things that I need people to be familiar with, because this may be your first time watching the show. And if it's not your first time, you already know kind of how we get down anyway. But we have the brands. Please check out the Lab Tech Show, yourliveproduction.com, and tallboy.us, those respective websites, where you can get video production, you can get live streaming services such as this, and tech talks. So if you know a tech company that's interested in coming on to the Lab Tech Show, have them go to the Lab Tech Show. All right, don't forget that we're on Spotify and YouTube podcasts at the Lab Tech Show. We're also on Amazon and Roku at TBE Media. And if you thought this show was valuable, why don't you go ahead and leave me a tip at I Am Tallboy on PayPal, or Tallboy Enterprises on Cash App. Think big, think tall, think tall boy. You know what it is. Think big, believe in God. Think tall, the sky's the limit. And think tall boy, because he said so and he's doing it. All right? And then don't forget, Tallboy's got merch. Now, Mr. Edward, I don't know if you knew that Tallboy had merch or not, but you should check out some of the merch, man. We have some new merch that's out there. We got a tote bag where you can hold all your paperwork. If you like to work out, we got the trucker tank top. We have our word of the day shirts that Revis breaks down. He even has his own where in the U.S. is Revis. Coffee mug, hat. And then we even got some TBJ merch down there. So why don't you go over to shop.tallboy.us. Once again, that's shop shop.tallboy.us. We have something for toddlers. We have something for adults, something for women and men. All right. So we have something for everyone. I have my favorite phrases as I don't have the bandwidth to deal with this. Stay in your lane, balling on a budget. Where's my next stop? Tech is my energy. These are all sayings that Tallboy likes to use and say. So why don't you go over to shop.tallboy.us, find your merch, and support me. That's it. All I ask is for the support. I didn't say, hey, give me some money. I just said support. Support. Shop.tallboy.us. Y'all can do that, right? And then lastly, these are some of the words that are coming in right now. And Mr. Edward, I'd like to say thank you once again for coming on to the show, having the necessary conversation with us, and allowing people to ask questions in real time, and giving them the opportunity to get their questions asked, or maybe they didn't know any information and then you said something that may have sparked the conversation, right? So something may have said, ooh, I needed that in my life. So thank you once again for all of that. And like I said, I don't take this conversation lightly, because like I said, death can happen at any moment in time, and it does not have your name written on it. You just never know when it's going to happen. So please be prepared. Please get your affairs in order. As much as I would love for you guys to join the show and be a part of this, we all know that, people have their own set of issues, and you can't say Tallboy did not want your best interest out. So once again, Mr. Edward, can you can follow him, reach out to him on social media. You see it's at Edward Lynn 0827, and your email once again?
kcharles@legendscfs.com. You can also do Edward Lynn at legendscfs.com.
So it's
you
Legend,
got it all
not
there.
Legends, right? Legend.
No, Legend. LEGEND CFS. CemeteryFuneralServices.com.
There it is. There it is. You can't say that we did not put it out there. Once again, as a brief recap, Tallboy discussed. I don't even remember the word of the day. I keep messing it up. But we did talk about Oprah is having a conversation with AI. We also talked about end of life matters and incounts. Did I say that right?
Incounts, yeah.
Yeah,
that's the word of the day.
Incounts.
Being settled. We settled some things today. We settled some things today.
Yeah, you settled into the show very well. And, like I said, I appreciate everyone settling into the show. And it lets me know that you guys are.
Now it's solid. Solid as a rock.
Yeah. Y'all solid. I appreciate y'all. Once again, thank y'all for joining the Lab Tech Show. God willing, we'll be back next week. Without further ado, we out of here.
You already know.
Mr. Edward, we did it,
yes,
man.
Sir.
It's the
We
Lab
did it,
Tech
man.
Show. We
Yeah.
got these people on notice.
How many people had come through? Love it.